Ugh. Oh, I get messages before I go live. I'm not looking at y'all's messages. I'm live. Look, don't text me. I'll text you. Dun 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 dun. Hey, goodbye. It's that time. It's that time. It's that time. Let's get ready. Greetings, salutations. It's T Nathan. I am so disappointed. I'm not know if I'm disappointed. I gotta watch it again, see if I'm disappointed. Greetings, salutations. Y'all take your time. Come on in. Come on in. I know I'm on my backup page on TikTok. What's up, YouTube? What's up, GCPR? It's your guy, T Nathan. Giving people a chance to file in. Everybody get their listening, get their listen on. Get your listen on. Get your listen on. And we'll try not to
America's
break any
inherent
copyright.
racism is blatant, woven in the fabric in its constitution. It covers like a blanket. The hate they hear, Black Lives Matter. Mad they crime statistics ain't
Guess my
supported
theme
by the
song
data.
wants to start.
43 alphas, the table for the crime. Commit the same crime, but don't get the same time. It's
Greetings,
disproportionate.
salutations. Welcome.
A bunch of racist
Come on in.
officers. Trial played out in front of an all-white audience. Black kids is thugs, white kids is mental health, but the justice is blind. Why the skin color changes. They dehumanize us, brutalize us. A simple traffic stop can end you in some handcuffs. I'm here for
What's
the
up,
fight.
Rain?
My brother is
My
the
theme song
harbinger.
wanted to
Stand
start on
side
his
by side
own,
and
so hey,
scream.
far be a
Fuck
few
you, the
stop.
honor project 2025. Dismantle civil rights.
Because
Erase
I
everything
submitted
from
my
history.
appeal.
If it isn't
I'm
white
gonna tell you how.
versions
Let
of
the
America,
theme song
which
play,
one
and I
you
think I got
fighting
it.
in? These MAGA trash think the South is going to rise again. White Christian nationalism is terror intensified. The government won't do nothing even though it's identified. It's screen law and order, but then voted a felon in. But if fellas can't vote, how do one become the president? They love the Constitution, but the truth is embarrassing. They push the Constitution aside for the white establishment.
Yeah. I don't know. What in the hell just happened? What in the hell? What was that? You- listen, listen. Ooh, Yeah, put put the Mary Jane down. Put the Mary Jane down. Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Conversation with Tiki Nathan. It is 10 o'clock Central Standard Time, 11 o'clock Eastern Time. You just heard the theme song from my show by my brother Jay. I got to add some voiceover to it, and then it'll be complete. But until I get to the voiceover, you all just going to have to take it that way. Set your clocks. It is 10 o'clock Central Standard Time, 11 o'clock Eastern Time. I'm T Nathan, and you are listening to Conversations with T Nathan. You can find it on the GCPR network across the world. I have at least 10,000 followers outside the United States that tune in every night. And then I have about 3 followers in the United States that catch me on social media. But I have a lot of people that watch my YouTubes after the fact, I guess. So, and I was tapping away. This is the perfect storm. That was the perfect storm. Well, this is what I did, Rain. Because you all know Friday it was Friday, right? Friday I got my account here suspended to join my main account being suspended. But I said, let me try something. Because I usually submit the appeals like in the moment. And I thought about it. I was like, these are the people that suspended my account. Why don't I wait till after 8 o'clock in the morning and submit my appeal? And sure enough, interestingly enough, I submitted my appeal in the morning at about 8:30, and at by before 9 o'clock, they said your live access has been restored. So here I am. So I guess it just goes to show you that the people that whoever's monitoring my accounts and I thought about it because I mostly go live at night. So I guess whoever my censor is at night doesn't like my content, and of course they're going to deny my appeal. So I'm starting to wait on appeals. Right. I thought that was too. I sent you the reason they said my account was suspended, didn't I, Rain? And I was like, hmm. So what I got to lose? I can submit the appeal to appeal later, right? And sure enough, I did. And I don't think I reached out to anybody and told them, but you know me, I just go live when I go live. Whoever's available, we got it. We're good. Um, how are you all doing? How's everybody doing out there in GCPR? I hope you all had an interesting weekend. By interesting, I mean good. Hope that's not why I text you. Oh, you didn't get to. I thought I sent you a copy of why they banned my account on Friday. I thought I sent you one, a screenshot of it, what they said. Yeah, I didn't think about telling anybody I had won the appeal because you know how I operate. Yeah, it's not. I saw it on Friday. Yeah, yeah. I thought I since Friday. I just didn't follow up because after I did it after I got back from the gym, and then I got busy doing other things, and I was like, oh yeah, I got a show for Monday night. Yeah, I I'm proud of myself this weekend. I put together some devices without Metal Melter's help. I put together some shelves. I followed the instructions kind of, and I didn't have any parts left at the end, so I think I mastered it. So I don't think people understand what when you put something together that came in a box that was flat and it stands 6 feet tall when you finish it. There's a sense of accomplishment when you look back and all the parts you have say literally extra on them. They don't say you needed to use these, and you're trying to wonder what did I not put the screws at. So there's a sense of accomplishment. It's like getting my website set up is easy, comparatively speaking. I am tech savvy when it comes to text, and I can fight. Manually putting something together, yeah, yeah. I know. That's what Carrie said. Look at you. What's up, Shay? Uh, but look at me. I was proud. I was proud, and I was like, yes, I did that. I did that. And then immediately after, I realized that I will not be the mechanical engineer of the revolution. That will not be my job. That will not be my job. So there is that. Um, we have several things to talk about, and none of them are going to be related to. Um, okay, none of them are going to be related because I'm sure a lot of y'all have had enough of the peace deal in the Middle East that we don't even know the points of that they signed off on today. I said I wasn't going to discuss it until they actually told the points of it because I'm familiar with history enough to know that every peace deal, every ceasefire that has been agreed to by Israel, Israel has broken. So I am happy that 2,000 Palestinians were allowed to return to Gaza. I'm not happy that it's rubble. I'm happy that for aid. Listen, this is how easy it was to get aid to the Palestinians in the first place. Hundreds of trucks have been allowed to enter Palestine. It was that easy. We could have been um, having aid into Palestine as soon as Israel stopped blocking it or allowing their protesters to destroy it. So I'm happy for that. I'm happy that there's Palestinians that went to sleep Friday night with no food that are at least getting access to food tonight. Medical care is getting the equipment they need. So I'm happy for that, and I hope it lasts longer than 30 days, which I believe that it won't. I want it to last more than 30 days, but I already see the rumblings because we don't even know the conditions. Uh, because if it involves some of the things I think it is, it's a non-starter for in Palestine. Um, but at the end of the day, I haven't seen anything that says that Israel will remove itself as an occupying force of Palestine. So returning to the status quo of being the world's largest open air prison is not going to solve this problem. What's up, Jay? What's up? Um, so that's why I have it. I think people, and understandably so, I understand the idea and the want, but this is not the first time. And I still see I still see plans for Gaza that don't involve the best interests of the Palestinians at any rate. Um, but I'll see. Y'all know I like to be proven wrong in these issues. So if we're here next year and this is holding, then I will accept that and say that, hey, I still don't believe it'll hold forever. Yeah. So there is that. I stand on that. I stand on that until I see what exactly the terms and conditions are. I am not going to hold out any hope because there's something about not divulging the terms and conditions that is. Then I look at the fact that in Egypt, it seems like everybody is signing agreements on behalf of the Palestinian people without consulting the Palestinian people. That's a recipe for disaster. Um, it's a recipe for disaster. You're in Egypt signing. You number one, you having a listen. Listen, I said I wasn't going to talk about this, but I'm going to say this part. You're having a conference in Egypt to decide what to do about Gaza without representatives of Gaza there. Anybody? It's the very idea of colonization. And this time you have greedy Middle Eastern countries involved in that negotiation from a standpoint of how they have evolved from what they were like in 1967. And now they're, like I say, Saudi Arabia was is the most corrupt country in the Middle East and probably one of the most corrupt countries in the world when it comes to greed and money. And that spread over the region, except in places that they have not allowed to share in that wealth. So it is what it is. Um, we'll see. I really want to see how Iran responds to this. I want to see how Yemen, rebels in Yemen and Lebanon respond to this. And I want to see what's expected of the Palestinian people. And let's not forget the West Bank is also under occupation. So we can't let's let's not ever get started about his comments on the right. There will be no peace until the master comes back for his people. What master? What is it about people coming in here talking about masters when I'm talking about ending oppression? Yeah, anybody who wants to be called master, I will punch in the face. Yeah, you better be like, I don't even like master bedrooms. Master. Sound like some Ephesians 6 and 12 talking about slaves obey your earthly masters. Yeah, y'all in the wrong place with your white baby Jesus fantasies and myths. I think I should just break that to you. You're in the wrong place. It's the primary right. It's the primary bedroom. Yeah. White baby Jesus is this is not a safe zone for white baby Jesus. Okay? Just thought I would let you know that. All right. Before you get your feelings hurt, this is not a safe zone for white baby Jesus. Let's get into it. I got some things I want to discuss. Um, President Obama is making the rounds. He was on Morgan's talk show. Morgan is ending his talk show after 17 years, and President Obama was on there 10 years ago, and he was the last one. But he said, "You remember when I tell you all we don't have universal health care? We have universal access to insurance." And people always push back on me on that, like, facts over feelings. But listen to what President Obama even said about his signature piece of legislation today. Y'all know I had to get it.
Better's good. Yeah. We're not going to get to perfect. If you're telling me that the Affordable Care Act is going to insure 50 million people, do I think that's better than if we were starting from scratch and I could get a single payer plan instituted and get that through Congress and suddenly we had universal health care and we had taken the profit motive out of, do I think that would probably be a smarter way to do it? Absolutely.
Right.
But since I can't do that, I don't have the votes for that. How about this?
Yeah, we can make it better.
We can make it better. This sense that things aren't worth it unless we get everything we want is either a recipe for disappointment in a democracy, but also maybe in life, or it leads to this weird cynicism where you just withdraw entirely. And that's part of what happened to too many of our folks. We decided, all right, if I'm not going to get everything, that justifies doing nothing.
So, do you, anybody who disagree with me that we don't have universal health care, is it good enough that he said it now? Is it good enough? Not like, I'm gonna play something else. I'm gonna go into segue after this because I made a video for all these people who always pushing up against their facts or feeling. But I also want to tell you, um, I'm trying to raise $300. The last payment for Jamie's cremation. The funeral home is cremated for him. We have done our part, but I don't. We don't get paid. The shelter is shut down. We're not getting paid, so I owe $300 more, the last payment on it. And since I won't be getting paid, I'm coming to you. Either if you want to donate, that'd be even great. If you want to, anybody want to loan me $300 to make the last payment, but you have to understand you're not going to get paid back until the government opens up. Let me know. Hit me up. But yeah, we're taking up donations for the last payment because the funeral home did their part and they gave me a payment plan. I really appreciate that. But we didn't expect the government shutdown. So there is that. So if you would like to make a donation to the last $300 stretch, I know it's like I'm always coming on here asking for donations for stuff we're doing, and I don't know how to do it any other way, especially when I'm not getting paid right now. So let's. I want to. I want to play that, but I also want to play a video I made about a reality check. This is the reality check video I made today. Some of you all saw it. If you
Let's
haven't,
have a
here it
reality
is.
check with TNathan for just a moment. Whenever I post a video, and in said video, I succinctly discuss facts, sources, and reference where you can find these facts and where you can find these sources. And instead of doing that, you counter with, I feel. You countered my facts with your feelings. Let me tell you something, right? Go argue with your mama because she probably cares about your feelings. They're probably valid to her. Go argue to the person you're sleeping with. They will pretend they care about your feelings because they're interested in continuing to sleep with you. But on my page, I don't care about your feelings in the face of facts. Maybe this will help you understand a little better. I am not the member of the friend group that leans more into feelings and emotions than I lean onto facts and logic. Yeah, they don't come to me because they want feelings validated in the face of illogical actions. They come to me when they want rational conversation about issues. So if I'm not that member of the friend group, I am damn sure not the content creator that is going to have a debate with you on your feelings about the facts. So stop stumbling into my comment section, leaving your feelings of incorrect information about the facts in my comment section. Because when I turn around and address it, you're only going to get deeper in your feelings. And I guarantee you, I will have you sliding down a wall if you want to go deeper into your feelings about your misinformation. Now, we understand each other? Y'all have the day you deserve. And may the ancestors judge you accordingly.
Yeah, if you know me, you know I'm not the one in the friend group to come to and discuss your emotions over some illogical, irrational decision you made, and you want me to validate your feelings. Your feelings are valid, and you might be have these discussions with your mama. Someone who loves me is someone who loves you, someone who sleeps with you, and someone to continue to sleep with you. Because at the end of the day, your feelings are valid for you. But you can't use your feelings to argue facts. Not with me. That doesn't really work out well. And you can't even stumble into my comment section leaving your feelings as facts because I will eviscerate them. And then somebody will be crying about I hurt their feelings. And I'll be like, you hurt my feelings when you stumbled into my comment section where I was literally talking about something from a factual point of view and led with I feel. So since you feel, I feel. And I'm gonna feel like if you slide down the wall, then you're going to this 6'4" trained trained and highly intelligent Mississippi man. I can't even play. And, and this is the thing. It's like your feelings are. I think people don't understand the difference in their feelings and facts because they both start with an F, I guess. But they will come into my comment section after I have literally. If you have some facts to counter the facts I put forth, oh, open discussion. But if you come in here and I literally dismantle something you said that wasn't rooted in facts, and do you all need a case in point? I'm sure we have a lot of case in points recently. I'll give you a case in point because I will tell you. And then when you dismantle them, they get in their feelings because I said, let's get it. At the end of the day, if you come into my comment section with something that is not true and I dismantle it, you do not get to cry foul. You do not get to cry foul. Like coming into my comment section, and people don't understand. When I take up a certain position on a factual issue, you all have seen me at times talk about I don't really want, I'm not defending this point, but I hate misinformation because misinformation is low hanging fruit. Misinformation in the revolution is low hanging fruit. Like if you say something untrue about Donald Trump, then his supporters will get all around and say the truth, and then they will try to devalue everything you have said because you were too lazy to do some research on what was said. Like a lot of people tell me I can't listen to his voice. Well, I listen to his voice. I listen to his voice because no one is ever going to catch me quoting something he didn't say. I will make sure I quote what he did say because I feel like if you're not that you should be able to tell people I didn't hear it or I don't know instead of riding with people that don't know what they're talking about either. I love misinformation about myself though. I let miss I don't even misinformation about myself doesn't even bother me. It's like we don't even and take it into account anymore. And I'm gonna give you a case in point of what I'm talking about because somebody said something about Kamala Harris and where her money came from during the campaign. And you all might have seen my video. You might have seen this video, but this is me addressing something that happened in my comment section.
So, if you follow me, Sunday is my reading day. And today I was reading The Counter Revolution of 1836, Texas Slavery and Jim Crow, and the Roots of United States Fascism. Thought it was interesting reading for today. And I would have still been reading if it wasn't for this. And I wanted to address it. It's a conversation that is going on under a video I posted that you can follow this comment up here back to. And it starts off with this picture and a comment, maybe this is why. And the this is why they're referring to is the video I made concerning protesters showing up at Kamala Harris's book tour to say her legacy will be what unfolded in Gaza. And I think this person was trying to use this as a method of saying that Kamala Harris accepted AIPAC money. And for those of you all who do not know, AIPAC is American Israel Public Affairs Committee, and it's a PAC that donates money to candidates. But see, there's several things wrong with this, and it is the root of what Track AIPAC doesn't do. And what it doesn't do is always tell the truth. Now, this is the AIPAC PAC website, and you can go and visit it yourself. But one of the things you will notice on this website is that AIPAC does not endorse presidential candidates, and it did not endorse Kamala Harris for Congress during her run for the Senate. So now that we've established what AIPAC is and what it does not do, let's address track AIPAC having Kamala Harris on this page and saying that she received $9,400,300. Let me blow this up a little because I want to get into something here. You can see that under that figure, even though it's on the track AIPAC page, under that figure it actually says independent expenditures and campaign contributions received from pro-Israel interest groups. Pro-Israel interest groups. Got it? Now, because this information is public information and you can go to the fec.gov website and determine where every candidate gets their donations from, if you would have gone to this website and looked up these donations and where did they come from, you would see that none of them come from AIPAC. As a matter of fact, the largest donation out of this $900, $400, $1,000, $3,000, and $3 comes from
Don't ask. Don't
J
ask.
Street, which donated $6 million of those dollars to Kamala Harris. Now, J Street is a liberal alternative to the more hawkish American Israel Public Affairs Committee, or
AIPAC.
AIPAC. It has called for a ceasefire by Israel, but it hasn't endorsed an arms embargo where the United States would halt weapons shipments until Israel stops its attacks on Gaza. That is who J Street are. And it was no secret that they openly supported Kamala Harris in
No
her
secret.
run for president of the United States. Just like they made no secret of giving their support to the countries that recognized Palestinian statehood. They slammed Donald Trump for being petty and nonsensical when he denied visas to Palestinian passport holders. They have also made no secrets of calling for Israel to end the war in Gaza, and not only end the war, but to not reoccupy Gaza anytime going forward. Now, you can actually go to J Street's website and read all of this for yourself. See, I'm a protester and a revolutionary, and before I decide what to protest or what to burn down, I do my research
Fraudulent
first.
slip.
But let's
Fraudulent
say
slip.
all of this was not true, right? Just all of this was not
Now,
true, and
follow me.
track
Follow me now.
AIPAC
Think with
was
me.
actually accurate when it came to presidential campaigns, right? And to say that they are protesting because she took money from AIPAC. Let's live in that world for just a moment.
Yeah.
But something still wouldn't ring true to me, because this too is on track AIPAC that Donald Trump received, wait for it, $233,473,622 from pro-Israel interest groups. That's a factor of what, 25 times more than the 9 million that Kamala Harris got from anti-hawkish pro-interest groups. But also, let's break this down. Donald Trump got 230 million of those dollars from Preserve America PAC, ran by Miriam Anderson.
And she was in
Let's take a
Israel
look
this
at it.
weekend.
Now, I'm sure you're not surprised, but this is Miriam receiving the Presidential Medal of Honor from Donald Trump.
It's the Medal of
And
Freedom.
in November, in an article with Forbes magazine, Addison describes the protests against Israel war on Gaza as ghastly gatherings of radical Muslims. They are our enemies. They should be dead to us. She called for shaming those who called for a ceasefire while urging people to deny them employment and public
You all right,
office
Libra?
and defund their colleges and political parties. And when you go to the Preserve America PAC page today, this is what you find. Yeah, they're targeting a woman who is just on a book tour and not even in public office. This is not from 2024. This is today. But yet still, I still don't see those same protesters showing up at any Donald Trump functions. And if that picture was supposed to prove that that was why, well, I asked you, why isn't this picture giving them a motivation to at least protest the person in power? Just gonna leave this right here.
Just gonna leave that right
Just
there.
gonna leave it right here. I'll be in the comment section and we can continue this conversation.
They call that redirecting. Listen, and then don't get me wrong, right? Don't get me wrong. I just hate misinformation. Y'all, if you know me, you know I hate misinformation. I have been had a APAC donates mostly to Congress members. They do not endorse presidential Congress. Why is my face look so? And it's not. Hold on, it's lighting. Hold tight. Let's try something else. But APAC does not donate to congressional, I mean to presidential. They're not a presidential endorser. They endorse Congress members. So if you know that, no, we just gonna have to do it this way. If you know that, you know that that can't be. And if you, even if the figure did come from APAC, which it doesn't, why are you still protesting Kamala Harris on a book tour instead of showing up at Donald Trump events? Anybody? Anybody? It's not sweat. I am not sweating. I never sweat. No, I never sweat. Even when I'm working out, I don't sweat. Okay, I do work out. I do sweat, but I usually have something on that absorbs it so well that you don't notice it. They are afraid of Trump and his people. Yeah, I sweat. I just make sure I cover it. That's why I have to come home and put my clothes in the washer. Um, or I put them in a bag actually. I put them in a plastic bag because I sweat in them. I put them in a plastic bag and then I put them in the laundry room. But anyway, they're scared, but it's not. I don't think it's just fear. I think it's paid. I think they're paid to do that. Because how else would you explain somebody paying over $500 for a seat at a book tour to protest to get thrown out? Yeah, you got to be. First of all, I'm a protester to my heart, and unless I steal the money from somewhere, I'm not showing up at a $500 book tour and paying my hard-earned money to get in. I need my hard-earned money to help in my community. So that's that. And also, remember what I said? We're $300 short on our final payment for the cremation of Jamie. If you all want to help, hey, up here. If you want to loan me the money, let me know, and I will pay you back once the government is open again. That's it. I owe one more payment, and I want to pay the insurance company. I mean, pay the cremation funeral home because they did a good job and they did their work in advance. I'm not paying the hospital bill; it's not happening, but I will be paying the funeral home one way or the other. So, if you all would like to help with that, please hit up this. And then we still got the clothing. We got the coat rally coming up. We got the next city. We're going back to St. Louis in December. We got all kinds of things lined up. But the kids are good on supplies. We got the children good on the pencils and all that stuff they need. We should get through the rest of this semester great. We're good on that. We got calculators. They're taken care of. Now we got to get back to taking care of those who happen to be homeless for the winter, and also um, the abused women's shelter. We're working on some things for them. And I'm like I say, I didn't even know I was a government employee until the government shut down. Then I find out that they use the specific funding they get from the government to pay us. But yeah, that's a whole long story. If you work in an agency that is dealing with benefits that you usually get for those who are less fortunate, you all know what I'm talking about, and you are probably seeing declines or being told that some of your funding is going to be held up. So that's where we are now. All right. So that's where we are. Now, back to what we just watched. You understand that misinformation is misinformation, and we have to address the misinformation because it opens up avenues to understanding what is going on. And what is going on is that there's a reason. Like I say, when you go to Preserve America, even though Kamala Harris has not announced any kind of run for 2028, she's just on her book tour. Preserve America is taking her seriously, and they're sinking hundreds of millions of dollars right now into blocking her from getting into office. So there's a reason for that. There's a reason for that. All right. All right. Now let's do. And I don't know. I hope I have time to come back because I want to talk about Kingsley. I want to talk about Kingsley. And he was last November, we talked about him briefly. And I think he might have gotten lost in some people that, even though they watch my content, they got lost in losing the election and they were in their feelings. But I want to talk about Kingsley. Kingsley Bimpong was allowed to die in police custody last November, November the 17th. And you all remember we talked about this young man. Um, he's Ghananese. He was on TPS permanent U.S. status, but he was from Ghana. You know, I always keep up with my brothers from Ghana, and he was in police custody in Minnesota in Dakota County, and he died. He died in custody and he suffered for hours. He was on the floor of the police cell, in the jail, on the floor in the holding cell for hours. People walked by, said they was checking on him, and the officer that initially arrested him for no other reason than he was black. The man was in the medical emergency. He was having a stroke. He was having a stroke. The postal worker, right? He was having a stroke. So, that's all you get. You all know how I feel about trigger warnings. Um, the whole thing is a trigger warning. This whole thing is a trigger warning. So, follow up. His family has filed a $120 million lawsuit, and you're going to get into why. Let's get into it. It's our feature story
A
of the night.
Minnesota police officer specially trained to determine if someone is under the influence of drugs arrests a postal worker having a medical emergency. It's a case that ends with an innocent man dead. A warning for viewers: this report contains graphic video. AJ Legault has the story as part of his long-running investigative series, Cruel and Unusual.
The Dakota County Jail, November 17th, 2024. Kingsley Bimpong flops around on a cell floor.
It's horrific video to watch.
He's lying in his own urine. Guards walk by and look in as part of their legally mandated well-being checks, but for hours do nothing. Nothing until it was too late.
He was suffering immensely.
Katie Bennett is a lawyer representing Kingsley's family. She's suing Dakota County, but says the real story starts hours before Kingsley was booked into the jail, unable to even stand on his own, accused of a crime he did not commit.
Which makes it particularly hard to watch him suffering from something at no fault of his own.
The story starts here, at the United States Post Office's Eagan Distribution Center. Kingsley works the night shift. He began complaining of a headache and then just vanished from his job. Records show an Eagan police officer spotted him driving his maroon car the wrong way on Pilot Knob Road, in oncoming traffic, bumping into the center median. He was pulled over.
Maroon Ford Edge registered to a Kingsley Bing Pong.
According to the police report, Kingsley was extremely confused, did not know where he lived, and did not know where he worked, even though he was wearing a USPS vest.
Hey, Kingsley.
Yeah.
Where do you live?
I don't know.
Kingsley just kept repeating, "I don't know," and was unable to do standard field sobriety tests.
And things just go downhill from there.
There was no sign or smell of alcohol.
Hey, if you're free, can you come over here, please?
So Officer Martin Jensen, Egan's Specialized Drug Recognition Evaluator, or DRE, was called to the scene. DRE officers go through advanced training by the Minnesota State Patrol to help identify drivers impaired by drugs and distinguish them from those suffering medical emergencies. They're trained on a 12-step process. But according to Bennett, that protocol was ignored.
Basically, none of those are done.
The lawsuit alleges Officer Jensen can be heard on body cam saying doing a DRE evaluation would just be a whole bunch of time wasted. And when asked if Kingsley should be taken to the hospital, the DRE officer responded, "For what?" Kingsley was arrested, charged with DWI, and taken by Officer Jensen to Dakota County Jail, where he was so disoriented he was unable to even complete booking. Instead of getting a medical screening, jail video shows he was placed in a cell. Minutes later, he falls, and hour after hour after hour, he rolls on the floor, unable to stand, urinating on himself repeatedly. Guards look in and document inmate and cell okay.
Paperwork says they checked on him and he was okay.
He was clearly not okay.
What was he?
Dying.
More than 3 hours went by until a female guard noted he was foaming at the mouth, having seizure-like activity, and the jail nurse was finally called.
Come on, son. Belly up. Wake up. Wake
Acting on the information that he was on
You
drugs,
notice it had to be
she
a female
administers
guard
Narcan.
that came back.
No results.
They gave the man Narcan.
Look at me. Wake up.
As
They gave
paramedics
him
arrived,
Narcan.
you hear a guard and nurse discuss how Kingsley was ignored. The so-called well-being checks just for show.
He said he's been like that all night. Not to worry about it.
No, that's not okay.
Well, his person is not checking when he's doing rounds. He's just walking by and scanning.
And then they still handcuffed
taken to
him.
the hospital, where it was determined he'd been suffering for hours when every minute counted from an untreated stroke. Our investigation finds DRE officers are specifically trained that subjects suffering from a stroke will often have a dazed appearance and be confused, and warned a stroke may mimic drug and alcohol impairment. At the hospital, Kingsley was declared brain dead. The state crime lab later confirmed there were, in his system, no drugs. For KARE 11 Investigates, I'm AJ Legault.
You see that? No drugs detected.
The city of Egan and Dakota County have not yet filed a legal response to the lawsuit. Egan's police chief and Officer Jensen, along with the Dakota County Sheriff, declined to comment for this report.
Do you understand that? Do you grasp it? Do you grasp it? This man having a stroke, a medical emergency, and their DRE officer doesn't even bother. Says, why bother? It's just a waste of time. He's just high on drugs. And if he wasn't black, he wouldn't have be dead right now. He wouldn't be dead. He didn't check his pupils. He didn't do anything to evaluate him. He just told him it's a waste of time to do an evaluation. They took this man and placed him in a cell. A man that is listen, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what kind of life you all have led. I have led a life where I've seen people high. I know the difference between somebody being high and somebody having a stroke. it's a vast difference. No matter what drug you're on, that was not the action of somebody who was incapacitated by a drug. Either you're hyper and you're running around, wanting to fight even aggressively, but yeah, if you're drunk, you will piss on yourself. But that was none of that was what you experienced. When I was watching this, when I was watching that video, you all know me. I have a very high tolerance for violence. Um, I just wanted to put a bullet in everybody associated with it. And it took a woman to when they changed shifts and the female guard came around and she said, "What's going on here?" Because all of those white men were just signing off on it and saying he was all right. How do you watch somebody who's rolling on the ground in their own urine and your conclusion is they're all right? Make it make sense. And uh, thank you. Uh, Thank you, Cassie. Thank you. Appreciate the donation. Appreciate the donation. Thank you. Um, yeah, make it make sense. There were signs of medical issues from the beginning. Thank you, Tam. Thank you. Appreciate it. Definitely. Um, and there it is. That is what we're dealing with in this system. I guess the white cops didn't see a human. No, they didn't. They didn't. This is Minnesota. Listen, this is what I tell people, right? Because I tell people being raised in Mississippi, I can spot racism and discrimination I can smell it. I can be in I can be in an online situation and with people and I be like, oh, your racism is showing. Yeah, I can smell it. You can read and Minnesota is one of those places where when I first went there the first time, then this was way before George Floyd, and I went there and they was like, "Oh, you don't have to worry about. We're not like the M state you come from." I said, "No. After being here 5 minutes, you all are worse than the M state I come from because you all have." Overt racism. You have covert racism. You have the undercover racism of your neighbor. That all of a sudden a black guy is here, and all of a sudden every time I look up, they're dropping by. Yeah, stop it. Stop playing with me. Stop playing with me, right? But this is in Minnesota, Dakota County. And I've been to Minnesota many times protesting against Stop Line 3 with the indigenous people in the area. And you get to see it. You get to see it. Even in the most so-called well-meaning racists that you have, yeah, it's just they're well-meaning. They think they're liberals, but they're so racist and bigoted. They're blind to their own racism and bigotry. It's like when you come up with excuses for why you want to pollute your own drinking water, then at the expense of the indigenous population by saying, "Well, they don't understand." What do you mean they don't understand modern day? You think they just teleported here from the 16th century? Shut the fuck up. But anyway, story for another day. I have the video. I'll show you sometime. But yeah, this is a travesty. This is a travesty. This is not only I want them to get every dollar of $120 million they sued for, but I want it to come from the police budget. I want it to come from the police, but even though it's still going to be paid, taxpayers are going to be paying, but I want the police budget to have to pay for this man's his family. Oh, we got a bunch of them here in Washington State too. Oh, don't get me started on Washington State and Oregon. You all were founded as sundown states. The whole state was founded as a sundown state. Even though that's what's so funny to watch all the protests in Portland now, and I'll be like, yeah, chickens are coming home to roost. Yeah, chickens are coming home to roost. Yeah, but I hope they get every dollar. I want to see them get every dollar, every dollar. And I want every dollar to because he has a child. I want the trust fund set up for the child. I want the police department because until these departments start feeling the burden of their actions, they're not going to change. You just put this out on the taxpayers and don't take from their budget, they're not going to change. When they can't hire officers or give raises like they used to give raises because you hit them for $120 million from their budget, it'll get different. It'll be different. These men walked around and said, "Cell okay, man, inmate okay," when this man is literally unable to push himself up. And I've been in holding cells. Like I say, y'all know this. I've been in holding cells with people that were high and have medical emergencies, had to fight a couple of them off at times, but you still know the difference. You know the difference. You know the difference, and they need to be held accountable for that difference. All right. So that's the follow up on that. Huh. We got now. Next thing I want you all to hear before we leave. Now I'm going to play her whole video. This video, I'm going to play the whole video, and then I'm going to go into my breakdown. You're not going to hear her whole video, but let's get it. And if you are offended by me calling people rocket raccoons, even though white people should not call black people rocket raccoons,
Okay. Hold
how you
on
want to
before we get started. Just 1 minute, real quick. Allow me to introduce you to my dog back there asleep on her bed. My dog is female, and her name is Bella. Yes, my female dog's name is Bella. And it seems like somebody named their Rocket Raccoon Carmen JC. Yeah, and if you're already offended, you probably need to keep scrolling because it's not going to get any better than that. Now, TNathan, why are you calling Carmen a Rocket Raccoonesia? Well, let's take a listen.
People would die without white people. And quite frankly, they're our only allies that we have in this world. Africans sure as hell don't like us. And quite frankly, they're the ones that sold us into slavery. And if you really think about it, we don't produce anything, we don't own anything, and we damn sure do not know how to live off the land. And with all the dysfunction that is coming out of our communities, I don't think people would want to help us. We as a community need to change our worldview, and we have to be accountable for the things that is happening within our community and actually come together and do something about it. This toxic relationship that we have with white people and this built up anger that we have against them, it needs to come to an end. I'm telling you guys, the people at the top is loving this. As we stay distracted, they destroy our country. True Americans do not care about race. And if you are a person that cares about race, then you are a part of the problem. We live in the greatest country in the world, and there's people out there that would die to be in our positions, and there's people out there that do die to try to get here. Basically, what I'm trying to say is, united we stand, and divided we fall.
Let me get this right. That this Rocket Raccoonesia, the glizzy swallowing bed wench of white supremacy,
I meant everything I said.
Beyonce's internet and said that black people would die without white people. Like, we literally didn't need white people to build one of the great societies and kingdoms and civilizations on the continent of Africa prior to colonization. She said that in the face of facts, that millions of black people died during the transatlantic slave trade that was commenced by white people, and also the millions of people who died in this country during slavery who were black at the hands of white people. Did she say that literally in the face of the fact that there is a museum in Montgomery, Alabama called the Museum of Peace and Justice that I call the Lynching Museum, because it literally denotes the lynching of black people that took place in this country after the Civil War, when they were supposed to be free at the hands of white people, that also made lynching postcards that I put in this video the first time I made it, and TikTok took it down. Those white people are the ones you're talking about? Did you say black people have not produced anything when I can provide you with a whole list of the inventions that black people have made in this country alone? That doesn't include the ones that white people stole from them, patented, and then paid them nothing for. Are you for real? You all understand. She said that black people couldn't live off the land, like runaway slaves didn't live off the land. But even before that we weren't brought here to till the land and make it profitable for white people. And how even today, black farmers are still holding it down and producing food for this country. Yeah, she said we couldn't live off the land. Yeah. This voluntary, that's important, it's voluntary, bedwench of white supremacy got on the internet and acted like our anger towards issues that affected us then and are still affecting us now, because white people have not done anything to stop the effects of redlining and how it affects the racial wealth gap in this country. Still today, over 60 years since the so-called end of Jim Crow, housing segregation and discrimination is still a thing in this country. Does this Rocket Raccoonesia actually understand that black women are 4 times more likely to die than their white counterparts because of medical apartheid and the discrimination suffered in the medical system in this country because how they are taught to treat black people? How we lead the system in exoneration when it comes to crime because of the racial disparities in the criminal justice system? Now, before some of you all fuck around and find out by commenting in my comment section and getting your asses slap out also, understand, all those facts was not for that Rocket Raccoon bedwench of white supremacy. She has made her bed voluntarily, and she is happy suckling at the teat of white supremacy while also swallowing the 3 inches of Master's glizzy, because that's what she wants to be. Everything in this video, the facts were just a point. All the ad hominems are for her and her followers to report this video. Yeah. I don't care. I will post it on all social media and tag her in it also. And I don't mind you all tagging her in it. But don't come into my video comment section telling me I'm wasting my time. I accomplished my goal. Now, you all have the day you deserve. And may the ancestors judge you accordingly, not to you sitting out, but to your work. I made time for this today. Y'all have the day you deserve.
And let me tell y'all something. Let me tell you something. Hold that thought. Everybody on social media, hold that thought. GCPR, if you want to catch the rest of this show, come over to YouTube. You can catch it on YouTube tomorrow, or you can come over to TikTok and watch the rest of it now. But I'm going to sign out now because I don't feel like fighting Olivia on behalf of Reese. I know they got something going on with DJ, but GCPR, I'll catch you all tomorrow. Same Wakanda station, same Black Panther time. Peace. Now, the rest of you all, I wanna address some things, right? Because the 2 more things I'm gonna share with you all before the night is over. This is one, and I'm gonna wrap them all up in all 3 of them in one thing, because I want to address some of the comments people have left on these videos, right? I want to address some of the comments there. Let's hold that video and let's get
So
to
the
this.
transatlantic slave trade managed to transport 12 million people in a span of 350 years, with an average of 400 people per trip, with each trip taking about 2 months.
It never fails. There's always a pasty, dusty, musty, Caucasus Mountain adjacent glizzy swallower, always capping for white supremacy when it comes to the history of black people. And today's white supremacy glizzy swallowing contestant is I Believe in Me Psychology, who is trying to disprove the transatlantic slave trade by the numbers.
Success rate is nearly 0, but the transatlantic slave trade managed to transport 12 million people in 350 years flawlessly, when it theoretically would take 5,000 years. Got it?
What's that line from Forrest Gump? Stupid is as stupid does. Well, I believe in me psychology definitely falls into the does category. So let's get into the research over me search. Because the transatlantic slave trade forcibly displaced some 12.5 million Africans between the 17th and 19th centuries. And that is a conservative estimate. And take into account only about 10.6 million of those people survived the Middle Passage or the transatlantic slave trade. And there's literally documentation of slave voyages. And you can go to Emory University's website, and documenting slave voyages is literally a research project there. That has been a research project there for over a decade and a half. And the information I will be presenting is from Exploring the Origins and Forced Relocation of Enslaved Americans Across the Atlantic World. The Slave Voyage site now provides resources detailing more than 36,000 slave trading voyages between Africa and the New World. And we're just going to deal with those 36,000 voyages. You can even find the
36,000 voyages.
schematics of typical slave ships on the site, like this one that carried 345 slaves. And there are plenty of documented independent sources that also can be used in correlation with the Emory University's findings. The number of people carried off from Africa reached 30,000 per year in the 1690s and 85,000 per year a century later. More than 8 out of 10 Africans forced into the slave trade crossed the Atlantic between 1700 and 1850. The decade 1821 to 1830 saw more than 80,000 people per year leaving Africa in slave ships. This is all documented research, but no, you all are only good at me feeling search. And although slave ships varied from carrying 10 slaves to carrying 700, we're going to go with the number per voyage that you provided yourself.
So the transatlantic slave trade managed to transport 12 million people in a span of 350 years, with an average of 400 people per trip.
That's too many.
What? We're
That's
going
too
to take
many.
the 36,000 voyages that the Emory research has provided us with. And instead of using your 400 figure, I'm going to use the 345 figure carried by this slave ship as an average between 10 and 700. Back to research for just a moment, because if you want to look up slave ships and the sizes they ranged from, like the ones that carried 10, or the slave ships that carried up to 700 enslaved people, you could literally Google that also. But back to the math. So using the 345 figure for 36,000 voyages, let's see what the math says. Okay, Google, what is 36,000 times 345?
36,000 times 345 is 12,420,000.
12,420,000 displaced Africans during the transatlantic slave trade, and that is conservative. It doesn't matter how many of those ships wouldn't have made it once their cargo was loaded on it. We know that of those 12.6 million Africans displaced by the transatlantic slave trade, only about 10 million of them made it to their destination. And there are those who might attribute your lack of ability to do research over me search to the number of blows to the head you most likely took in a boxing ring. And they would be wrong, because it's the proximity to Caucasus Mountains that has firmly lodged the glizzy of white supremacy in the back of your throat for a long time. Now, you all have the day you deserve, and may the ancestors judge you accordingly.
Now, I told you, I got it. That's the second one. And I said that if you caught that, I said your proximity, because he's indigenous. He has indigenous heritage. He claims indigenous heritage. And if you go to his page, you'll find out that he fancied himself a boxer. He talks about that. So you all know I do research. And understand, this video, the numbers, this was not really a history lesson. This was a lesson in mathematics. This was basic mathematics, using the figures he put out there and adjusting them actually downward, because he said 400. I suggested them down. So you can't, history, you can't even do mathematics. So this was right. So this is another person of color. Put that with the first person of color, and now let's get to the third person of color in honor of Christopher Columbus Day. And yes, Rain, this video, this is an older video, and this video, I always address this on Columbus Day, or as I call it, Indigenous Peoples Day. But let's get this modernity used, and I hate it when people use words that they have no grasp of the true meaning of, and people run with. Let's get it. Welcome.
My second In Defense video, so this might become a series. In Defense of Christopher Columbus. Let's go. I posted a tweet today that said, don't let anyone gloss over or rewrite our history. Happy Columbus Day. And apparently that is a very controversial statement. Here's why it's not controversial, because we don't get to judge historical figures from hundreds of years ago through the lens of modernity. Again, hundreds of years ago through the lens of today. It doesn't quite make sense. It's actually very illogical.
Yeah, I gotta stop my bench workout for this one, because they must be passing out free industrial strength crack. Let's get it. So let me get this right. By this crack-induced logic, the Salem witch trials were just some women being treated like they should have been treated because that's how they were viewed back then? What about the Trail of Tears? Are we looking back on that from our standpoint today and not realizing that it was a horror then because of man's inhumanity to man? Moving right along. Yeah, how far back does this illogical modernity you're talking about go back? But I digress. Continue.
And if you were born at the same time as Christopher Columbus, you probably would have done the same things as Christopher Columbus. Except I take that back, because the people in my comments calling Christopher Columbus a genocidal maniac would not have been able to do what he did.
Yeah, you're right. Most of the people in your comment section calling Christopher Columbus a genocidal maniac couldn't have done what he did, because they wouldn't have been genocidal maniacs no matter what time period they were born in, because they're not genocidal maniacs, as was millions of other indigenous people around the world. Not genocidal maniacs. But let's get deep. And you know something else? Pause and read. This is another reason most of us could not do what Columbus did, because we're not going to grape a 13-year-old. Moving right along. And I take it by your glaring ignorance that you've never read anything from Christopher Columbus's diaries, because from the offset, Columbus was writing about conquering and enslaving the natives. Pause and read. Let's continue. More of what Christopher Columbus wrote, because I don't know what your definition of genocidal maniac, but as soon as I arrived in the Indies on the first island which I found, I took some of the natives by force. Yeah, most of us wouldn't do that either.
Then stumble upon the West Indies, meet two tribes of Indians, one that were extremely cannibalistic, and still carry through with one of the first diplomatic political actions to ever take place in that land.
Yeah, this is going to be awkward for you, but more proof that you're just talking out your ass. And also, on top of that, to think that a white man from another hemisphere visiting a hemisphere with millions of inhabitants would be the first to carry out a diplomatic relationship is the height of ignorance. And I leave you with this, because it's not surprising to me that you agents of white supremacy were going around wishing people a happy genocidal maniac day. Yeah, can't make this shit up.
Yeah. Okay. So the wrap up of this. Now let's get to the wrap up. 'Cause I know some of you all are old and you're not insomniacs like me. The wrap up I want you to take away from these three people that, and it's the comment section for me, because on all those videos in the comment section they were talking about how um people were I'm gonna give you an example of some of the comments in the comment section, because that really got me when people say things like the book dancing is good. Um, I am so sad for her. She has a lot of learning to do. That's what they're basically saying. She's young and she has a lot of learning to do. These are not preteens. These are not children. These are grown ass adults. Stop making excuses for grown ass adults, and especially black and brown and marginalized groups of grown ass adults who choosily swallow the glizzy of white supremacy. Stop learning to do. Do you understand the last young lady I showed is a member of from Prada University? She holds a staff position there. Yeah, she's like 29 now. Yeah, she does this willingly. These people engage in these acts willingly. It's not about learning. It's not about learning. This was a mathematical lesson. This man intentionally did this. The Columbus Day, the girl who talked about black people couldn't survive without white people. They intentionally do this on the glizzy of Masters 3 inches. That's their thing. And another comment like, and I even responded to one of them because I was like, I just can't. Sad that she might actually believe what she is saying. It's not sad. She actually believes this. She actually believes, and I'm not. And Don, it's not just the money. The money is like a side thing. They do this even without the money. They do it without the money. I think even that is an excuse that people want to believe they do it for the money. No, they do it because that's their ideology. You all show them too much grace when you give them excuses for what they do. They do it because it's their ideology. They're rewarded for their ideology by white supremacists and bigots because they say the things that they want to say, but they can put a black face to it. They're just using them, but their ideology is rooted. I've listened to them talk. Some of them, like especially the young lady at the end, I saw her at a Prada U. I saw her on a Prada to U YouTube when she was having a they call them debates. I call them I will put a bullet in your head if you say that in front of me events. I know I'm violent. That's why I don't go to these events. And this was her ideology that she defended in the face of facts, in the face of facts, just like the woman who doesn't understand the she doesn't want to understand the difference of black people buying their relatives during slavery to liberate them. She doesn't understand it. Oh, black people own slaves too. Yeah, I had to buy my wife. I had to buy my wife. I was a free man and I had to venture into the South and buy my wife and hope that not only did I make it back to the North, but that slave catch the reverse of the Underground Railroad, then kidnap me and drag me back to the South to enslave me on a plantation that no matter if I did say I was a freeman, that they would still have me as a slave and I couldn't get out. You know, that existed. That's what I tell people about the insidiousness of slavery. And they say, oh, but in the North, you could get kidnapped in the North and dragged back to the South, and there was nothing you could do to prove that you wasn't a slave. I wish more. What's up? That's my nephew. That's my nephew in the comment section. Ah, did grandmother sneak in here too, or is she asleep? I hope she's asleep tonight. What's up, nephew? But and this is the thing I say, would you all stop showing grace to people who choose their lot in life? Because you all are going to step in the way of a bullet meant for them. Talking about T Nathan, don't do it. They're young and they can learn. I'm gonna tell you something. If I even catch you hiding a shelter in one of those rocket raccoon types, you are the enemy also. You're the enemy also. Because if you don't understand the choices that they're making to damage the community that I'm a part of or communities that I am an accomplice with, then you are the enemy also. Sheltering them or giving them excuses for their behavior by saying, oh, they're young and they just got to learn. Bullshit. Bullshit. You understand? This is not a 5-year-old that you're trying to keep from touching the stove. These people are out here actively doing harm. And listen, what I'm sure my creator and your creator and my ancestors are not the same people, but I whatever it is, I'll send them to make an appointment with whoever is after the beyond the veil. Whoever they gonna see after they the shuffle off this mortal coil, they can go take it up with them. They can go take it up with them. But if I catch you all continuing to make these excuses in my comment section, I'm going to light you up. I don't care who you are. Understand that. I'm going to light you up. Yeah. You're the same people that would have been sympathizers for Nazis. Talking about, well, they're just young. They're just 20 and 21 while they're out here electrocuting people or escorting people into gas chambers. Nope. We're not the same. And I think a lot of you all don't understand that. We're not the same if you're going to entertain and make excuses for people that are actively engaging in the activity that leads to the death of marginalized groups of people just because they existed, even if they're a part of that marginalized group. No, I don't think some of you all understand this, what revolution is and what it's not. This is not kindergarten. That's why you don't see me hang around a lot of these people you all think are activists, because I would be on punch them dead in the face. Dead in the face. I would. Because they're not. They're not. We're sitting here struggling to raise $300 to cremate somebody, but they're out there raising $396,000 for a bus that our community was never going to see in the first place. Never going to see in the first place. But we're doing the work, and everybody just say, "Oh, TNathan will figure it out." Ah, I will. I will. See, that's the thing, though. I will figure it out. Even if I have to put a shiesty on, I'll figure it out. But the idea that y'all think y'all gonna come in my comment section and give leverage to, mercy to, grace to the very people I'm fighting against, you are my enemy too. Now, I advise y'all to learn from that. I advise y'all to learn from that, because that's how serious I am about this thing we call revolution. That's how serious I am about the liberation of black, brown, marginalized people and women. That's how serious I am. But if I run across somebody who's a member of those groups who is advocating for the oppressor to continue to oppress those groups, you are deserving of everything I'm going to give the oppressor. Everything I'm going to give the oppressor, you're going to get. You need hexes. Hey, look, look. I know some people believe I need to be locked away in somewhere. Yeah, yeah. They think I need hexes around me to keep me from the public. At the end of the day, you all have to stop making excuses for why people are bigots, why people are racist, why people sell out their own people to be closer proximity to whiteness, like it's going to save them. Those are the first people I'm going after. I'm going to remove the hedges that separate us from the races. They use those people as hedges. You see, listen. Let's talk about hedges. You all remember Wesley Hunt and Byron Donalds and Tim Scott and how they were out here campaigning for Donald Trump? How they were saying all the things that they thought they could get away with, and like, oh yeah, okay. What cabinet position they get? What cabinet positions did they get? Where Candace Owens at right now? She get a position? Did she get a position? Yeah, they on the same. They're doing the same thing they were doing before. Still trying to swallow the glizzy of white supremacy, and white supremacy isn't promoting them anywhere. Every one of them. y'all know all the Rocket Raccoons here, and on social media. You remember all the people that were out here gays for Trump, all them, where they at? What they getting? Listen, you're in Florida, they tearing up whole streets just because there's some rainbows on them. So if you if you're so in a hurry to get beyond the veil, cross me when it comes to making sure that our people are continually enslaved or oppressed. Like I say, women, I'm your ally too. I'm your accomplice. I'm an accomplice for women. But white women, if you all keep siding with your mediocre white men out of thinking your proximity to them will protect you, when the person most likely to abuse you out of the two of us is the man that looks like you, yeah, yeah, it's a fact. I'm gonna tell you. I don't know. You take it with a grain of salt. Most of the people, most of the women, after they come to the shelter, when they're fleeing their abusive, stalking husband or boyfriend, 70% of them are white with children. 70% of them are white with children. And I would say 75 to 80% of them were abused by white men. The ones that are not white were with a white man. And that's who they're fleeing. That's who they're fleeing. So I think you all should re examine your buying in to the proximity of white supremacy as manifested in this patriarchal society by white men. You all are just brood mares to them, and they just want you to have sons. So take for what you want. And remember, you're gonna be hearing about this all week. Y'all gonna be hearing about it every time we have something to do, especially during unemployment period. Yeah. So this is what we're doing. If you want to help, it's up there. We'll. I think I'm thinking about a marathon. I don't know. I don't know what I would do for a marathon. I don't know what I would do. I don't. Even though you're not getting paid, we're still feeding those who have to be homeless every day. Making sure that happens. Um, because you're not gonna care too much to leave them unattended just because at the end of the day I am not gonna starve. Uh, Luckily, somebody that's more than willing to pick up the slack at home until we can do better. But yeah, it is the reality of the situation. We're not going to stop. I'll send you food. Listen, if you don't dash me food, it's for the crumb snatchers. Listen, crumb snatchers, they can eat. As a matter of fact, the big crumb snatchers just tried to sneak in, but luckily Pinky alerted me. I was work. All right, you didn't beat up anybody, did you? Ah, see. Yes, those are the questions I asked first. We have to get those questions out the way first. Did you beat up anybody at work? I'm sorry. It's just the reality. I got really good at canning. Oh, I don't eat collard greens. I don't eat collard greens. I do not eat collard greens. I do not eat mustards. I don't eat anything that I eat cabbage. I eat cabbage, and I prefer it to be blanched. Or if it's cooked, I prefer it cooked like my grandmother used to cook it. Throw a turkey neck in there, some cornbread. It's on, but I don't eat right. I don't eat what I consider grass. I don't eat collard greens, mustard greens, turnip greens. I don't eat any of those. I like cornbread and cabbage. Yeah, cornbread and cabbage. There's a lot of things I don't eat. No pork. So if you're gonna do cornbread, if you're gonna do cabbage, let's get it. Yeah, and then gotta have I gotta have the hot sauce that your grandmother made by putting what was the base of that vinegar? She would put the peppers in there, shake it up, and leave it on the cabinet for like 3 months, then break it out with yeah, that's all I need. And then the turkey is going to be in there off the turkey neck. I want some cabbage and turkey neck right now. Uh, I'm gonna need an address. You su- you supply your own hot sauce. Yeah, DM me, Tam. DM me. I'm down. All right, you all. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. Um, like I say, we'll keep you posted as um, more information becomes available on the topics we talked about tonight. I will keep up with the ceasefire. I'm not calling this an end to the war. I'm calling it a ceasefire. That's all I ever called anything ever since I've been protesting treatment of Palestinians. Everything has just been a ceasefire to me. I hope they have enough time to recover and get food to those and aid to those who need it. And I'm gonna remind you before I go, for those of y'all who I'm sure a lot of y'all have studied history or might remember discussion on Richard Nixon. You all remember Nixon made one of the most historical deals in history to open up China during his presidency. Don't ever forget that. Nixon and Henry Kissinger opened up China to trade, which at the time was considered one of the most significant foreign achievements in this country's history. And what happened? But domestically, Nixon was a mess. Watergate. And that's the same thing I see now. It's Donald Trump does not bring the same animus he brings to domestic issues to foreign issues. He doesn't. He doesn't. And that's the problem. And if he was the, and like I say, I'm not sure this deal is going to last. But if it does, I mean, he's going to get the Nobel Peace Prize for it. But at the end of the day, I think that's the only reason he's doing it. Also, the Nobel Peace Prize. Once he gets the Peace Prize, he won't care. He won't care. In fact, Donald Trump is not going to keep interest in this issue now. Anyway, he's not. Whatever deal they signed, when I read it, I'll tell you about it. But it's not from a point of caring any more than Richard Nixon cared about opening up China as much as he did being remembered in history for it. And that's where we're at. The similarities between that and this are so stark when you study history. And remember that Richard Nixon was responsible for China's international trade. So just take that into account, and I can celebrate a ceasefire for the Palestinians, and I can celebrate the return of hostages to people that their loved ones were missing for 2 years. I can celebrate both those things and also acknowledge that at best I think it's temporary. And that's what I'm thinking is that Lynette, I think he actually wants to turn Gaza into the Riviera of the Middle East. And I think that a lot of Middle Eastern countries are selling out the Palestinians for Donald Trump. I do. I think they're just looking at a way of how they're going to make money for it more than they're looking out for the good of the Palestinians who have been kicked off their land and their culture has been turned upside down with the insertion of a country into their homeland. I'm stuck on foreign being on homeland territory. You're stuck on Qatar ha- having a facility, but you do realize they're not the only one. They're just the only one that is not a part of NATO or not an ally. And the people were like, we're not surprised we have our largest military base in the Middle East in Qatar. We have military bases in Syria too. You don't see we allowing Syria to build a facility to train Air Force members with their own F-16 fighter jets being stationed there. That's crazy. What's up? Oh, that's my other nephew. Also, those hostages released back to Palestine aren't prisoners. They were hostages as well. I said that. I said that. I know you're just coming in. You're just joining us. You're just joining us. Um, yeah, I'm gonna tell you, and I watched, you know me, so I watched and listened to, I've been watching and listening to this since Sunday. Everything that happened Sunday, I slept for about 2 hours. I got up, it's still going on. I watched the first seven released. I remember I said that nowhere near 48 people were going to be released before they even announced that only 20 were alive. I knew that. And I know a lot of them are dead because of Israel's actions of bombing buildings and tunnels in Gaza. They didn't care. Benjamin Netanyahu did not care about the hostages. No one could, he didn't. He didn't care about them then. He don't care about them now. They're a means to an end. And as long as Israel was at war, Benjamin Netanyahu's place as prime minister was secure. Now let's see what happens. That's the one thing about the ceasefire. I do want it to last long enough for Benjamin Netanyahu to get kicked out of office. But there are still too many hardliners in the Israeli government that still have designs on not only Gaza, but the West Bank also, because a lot of things have been happening in the West Bank that people have been ignoring because they've been overshadowed by what's happening in Gaza. I think the point of the genocide was to make the ceasefire seem benevolent. So many. I don't think. I think that's conflating two different things. I don't think that. I think the point of the ceasefire and ending Israel's current genocide is because of international pressure. There is something to be said for those of us who are out pressuring governments in other countries to do this. When France, the UK, Germany acknowledged Palestine as a state, it went a long way. Canada, that went a long way towards this negotiation because those are not those are not inconsequential countries. Australia, yeah, though that was pressure. That was international pressure. That not quite parallel to something else. Nothing more than ethnic cleansing to me. That's all Israel. Yeah, but let's not get. I understand, but let's stick to the topic I'm talking about and how it's unfolding. Sometimes y'all say things and it's not nothing new and it doesn't add to the conversation. We know that we understand the ethnic cleansing. I am talking about the ceasefire and how long it will last because you're going to make it last. You're going to have to remove hardliners from Israel's government, and I don't see that happening. You might get rid of Benjamin Netanyahu, but Sophia Lepore is a problem. She's a whole problem. She literally wants the West Bank um to extend their settlements in the West Bank. She's a whole problem, and it doesn't seem like she's going anywhere anytime soon. Miriam Anderson, with her billions of dollars, American dollars, is a whole problem. Founder of Preserve America. See, I don't just approach these things with feelings. I approach them with actuality of what people can do, as opposed to just. I'm not out here protesting on my feelings. I don't do that. I meet a lot of people who do. Like they don't understand that your protest has to be coupled with action, not just you running up and down the street saying genocide bad. You have to have a plan for how you can manipulate a system like the UK protest manipulated the UK. Our protest, not so much so as I watched the Canadian protest. When I watched the Canadian Prime Minister come out and bow to the pressure of protesters by acknowledging Palestine, that was a win. When I watched France do it, because Trudeau, I mean, I'm Trudeau, because Macron doesn't want France to go up, and France is about to go up. I'm telling you, if France wasn't a colonization country, I would be rooting for them, and I am rooting for those who are fighting the oppressor, but they are doing it right. France, have y'all been watching the protests in France that it caused Macron to bend? Yeah, that's right. Even the UK with their so-called stance, yeah, they gave in to protesters too. We don't give our government doesn't give in to our protests because there's not enough people like me out there. Most of them are just walking up and down chanting something, not burning things down. We started burning things down like France and Nepal, we'd have a whole different government. And we would have to fight National Guard. But most people are scared to do that. Most people that be talking to me about the National Guard or I don't give a fuck what they do, because what did you think revolution was about? That's when I realized you all care more about, most of the people only think in two terms: being on the front line and being killed, or being under their bed at home to be safe. What's the strategy? Can somebody explain to me when I'm literally talking about strategies of revolution that you all are listening to people and say we're not going outside because they're gonna kill us? Make it make sense. Make it make sense. You all sound stupid to me. I be wanting to tell people. People be asking my opinion, and I be trying to be nice because I'm still trying to build good karma sometimes. And I be like, I can't do it. You're just stupid. You're just stupid. It's like I wonder. The more I hear people talk about, like, was that y'all remember the first protests that we went to during this administration? People were like, oh, don't go, black people, don't go out there because they're gonna call the National Guard out. My ancestors had water hoses turned on them by the fire department. My ancestors had dogs turned on them, and they still fought. You think I care about the National Guard? Yeah, I don't. But I have a strategy to deal with it too. Yeah, I'm not running up on somebody with an M16, M4 in this case, and slapping them. No, I got plans. And I don't understand how people don't understand there has to be a plan to revolution. And your plan of sitting out is just, do you realize there are worse things than death for true revolutionaries? Do you understand living on my knees with a glizzy in my mouth is worse than death to me? That's worse than death. So if you're all going to follow this page, and if you're going to say you a supporter, or you following the leadership of what revolution looks like from this point of view, you need to understand those things. You understand those. I I'm not I can't do it any longer. I'm just gonna start calling what you all say stupid, because I've tried to explain it long enough. So if this point you don't get it, it's just stupid. And then you're gonna have to make a decision. Are you gonna be more upset that I called you stupid, or more upset that you don't have a plan and you listen to me and still don't understand? Because at this point, that's how much liberation is worth to me. That if I have to lose some people because they're stupid and hindering the plan, so be it. So be it. Should I be a medic while protesting or not? Yes, you should be a medic. As a matter of fact, that's part of the strategy. Everybody needs to play their part. If you have medical experience, I need you to be stationed somewhere not on the front line. So when I get tear gas thrown in my eyes, or when I get shot, that we have somewhere to go, then somebody that can take care of me. That's the thing. I don't think people understand. I'm not asking everybody to be on the front line with me. I only need those on the front line with me who can fight as well as I can, that have physically ready to do what it takes. But also, I don't need people on the front line that aren't willing to follow leadership, though, because then that just puts me in a position where now I got to save you because you didn't listen to the plan, and now you're in jeopardizing everybody. Even if you can fight, if you can't listen, we don't need you there. But we also need people in other stages. I need people to raise funds. We need people to protect the children. We need to treat it like an army. Most people don't treat fighting against the oppressor like the oppressor treats fighting against us. They think we just go out there and beat everybody up and that's it. If beating people up to end oppression and racism was the only thing we needed to do, we could have did that 100 years ago. We could have did that 100 years ago. But the oppressor always is evolving in their oppression, and you all are always finding people and following people that have no ability to evolve with it. You all are perfectly fine following people that have either been picked out by the oppressor to lead you or have no concept of what leadership truly looks like. I'm not going to ask any one of you all to do something I know you're not capable of. People be like, oh, I'm not going to ask you to do something I wouldn't do. No, I'm not going to ask you all to do something I know you're not capable of. I'm not. Why would I do that? That's not a mark of leadership. That's a mark of stupidity. That's a mark of stupidity. I'm dragging my nephews. My nephews, they know their job. They know their job. I run if I was closer from here. I'm a safe haven to hide, but my family will protect and defend. Exactly. That's what it's saying. You know your job for sure. You just want to push back sometimes. After beat you in the head a little. Yeah, it's what I'm about to say is going. Yeah, but but and it's the idea. It's the idea that also you have to understand. I take feedback. I do. I do. I take feedback, except at the moment of fighting. And then it's just fight like I planned it. Then you can give me feedback when we get back alive. Because my plan is not to throw you under a bus either. My plan is not to throw anybody under a bus. You know how people like, oh, this is gonna be a suicide mission. My thing is, if that's the only way I can do it, I need to send drones in because a true tactical mind, true strategic mind thinks of a way. How do I make sure not only do we accomplish a goal, but that we make it back home safe? Because I don't want to come back and have to explain to the family of somebody that went with me that I messed up and I lost your loved one. No, my plan is to be home by any means necessary because I'm not just fighting a revolution and looking for liberation and to be buried before we get there. No, I'm not Dr. King. I'm not going up to the mountaintop and saying I'm not getting there with you. Or people, there are people who are not going to get there with us, but that's not the acceptable behavior of saying we understand that. I'm fighting against that too. I'm fighting against that too. I'm fighting against being on my knees with a glizzy in my mouth, and I'm fighting against the fact that I'm leaving anybody behind that signed up to be with it. That's it. I'm not listen, I'm not the leader that's gonna say, just keep fighting by any just keep finding and we're outnumbered and out. No, we're outnumbered, and if I keep fighting, I'm gonna be outflanked. No, that's not a Shaka Zulu move. Shaka didn't send his troops in to fight the British and allow them to be outflanked and then out overmanned and then just stay there. No, Shaka had plans. His plans had plans. So I could do no less. And that's what revolution is about when it's about physics. I watch people ask you, why do you watch all this news? Why do you keep up with everything everybody doing? Because I need to know how to navigate with people that follow me. I need to know how to navigate. Just like right now. I, how many of y'all don't have $5? It's one thing, but I said we need support. We need support, and everything I say is good. Everything I say is good. But when I say I need financial support to continue to do the things we do, everybody just act like they didn't hear that part. And I'm not talking about the people that give. I'm talking about the people that don't, because you all don't understand. You can't ask people who are hungry to fight for you. When I go out in the community and I'm present to listen to people and help people, then we're building bonds. We're building community. You understand how many people are homeless in this country? Do you understand that? That understand the system has failed them and want to build something that works equitably for everybody. There are more people that I meet that are homeless, that happen to be homeless, that are just waiting. Always ask me what we need to do, TNathan. I need you to build your strength and eat right now because you weigh like 25 pounds. I need you to beef up, and I can't talk to you about revolution when I'm not offering to feed you. Right. Like, listen, listen. Are y'all gonna let this? Listen, I understand the little nephew is in here. You all see him, right? He's swivy. He's in good shape. He was all right. He. What do you think? I was gonna get in the trunk. I'm 250 pounds, 6'4". I'm not getting in the trunk. And it wasn't technically a trunk either. It was like the little space, when you got the hatch open and you got some things up there, so you put the third seat up, and that little space, he had plenty of room. We went less than 5 miles. He's all right. And then he didn't have to ride in the trunk back. He didn't have to ride in the trunk back. He all right. Yeah, it's all right. It's all right. He all right. He lived. He's here telling the tale. See? Yeah. He don't want to tell you all about my calypsos though. I noticed that. Nobody's like sympathizing with me over the calypsos. He tried to drink while he was live, even laughing at me, talking about he drinking my calypsos. Nobody was here for that. Nobody was saying about, oh, you drunk your uncle's calypso? No, nobody said that. I invited him for Christmas, not to drink my calypsos. You need a calypso. Yeah, I got the weapon in combat. I'll pop out the trunk with my calypsos and go. No, no, no. You'll pop out the trunk and go to work. I'll let you. Okay, you can have one calypso, but damn, what's up, baby girl? What's up? Well, shit. Well, calypso are famous. Listen, listen. I know how expensive calypsos are. Uh, I had to buy some sugar lemonade. Listen, y'all, if you know me, you know I love Calypso. That's my favorite lemonade. But I love lemonade. Lemonade is my favorite drink. If you ever any smoothie I get is lemon has lemon. Um, any drink that says lemonade in front of and back of it, I'll try it. Except carbonate. But any lemonade, you can put raspberry, lemon, peach, apple, grape. I'm drinking all of them. Anything with lemonade in front of it, I'm drinking. All right, y'all. It's almost midnight. Appreciate y'all. Like I said, thank you, uh, Tam. I will. We will do what we have to. Um, and if you're see, I like this at time night because people that really follow me, they'll stay into the end. 16 of you all in here now. You all are probably the usual suspects. So just make sure you have Calypso on deck for us. This is not a Calypso on deck. That's the one. Listen, the leader got to get one thing to himself. I give y'all everything else. Everything else you can have. Bring your own damn Calypsos. Or, no matter of fact, bring an extra one for me. Bring your own and bring one for me. Because I know I drink more than all of y'all put together. Yeah, I drink. I drink. You see these? I drink at least one of these an hour when I'm woke. One of these an hour when I'm woke. That's just this. That's the circle. Yeah, one of these an hour when I'm woke. I am constantly drinking. And so do what I did. Buy him some and then drink them. Yeah, he did that too. He did that. And if he wasn't and if he wasn't the driver, I probably would have beat him up more. But you can't beat him up too much because he drives and it's kind of awkward getting pulled over and the driver has a beat up and you're in the passenger seat not paying him any attention. All right. All right, you all. Thank you all. I'm gonna get out of here this time. I know I keep saying it. Let me sign off of YouTube.